So, if you've been watching my content for any amount of time, you'll quickly realize one of my recurring messages is that there is an insane amount of misinformation about badminton in the Philippines, right? And I got to thinking, like recently, how come? Like, why is that? And I think it's because there is like a social norm or cultural norm here where like subjective feelings and personal experiences matter more than what is objectively right. Okay, so obviously this applies to, I think, most areas of society here, but let's narrow it down to badminton. So what I'm talking about is, like, for example, you ask any one of your favorite players or any one of your favorite creators here, kuya, ate, like anong recommendation mo sa tension? Let's start there, right? What is something they're always most likely going to say? For me, ha, blah 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 blah, right? And y'all take this as like objective truth, right? So what happens when you ask person A this and then someone else asks person B this and there's conflicting information? Who's right and who's wrong, right? The thing is, no one here has that difficult conversation of figuring out who's right and who's wrong. So now both people in their head are doing what is objectively right. And, you know, in most cases, neither one of them is correct, right? So I think the reason why I make this video today is something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. I just didn't know how to say it. Is this lack of like an objective truth here? There's no like fundamental basis, or there's no fundamental like baseline knowledge here that everyone can agree on that's correct. It doesn't have to be just tension, right? It can be 2 knots versus 4 knots. It can be the use of 4U, 5U, or 6U rackets. It can be even something as sports sciencey as training, right? What are the correct routines? What are the incorrect routines? What is correct technique? What is incorrect technique? So this is very, very high level. So I don't expect this to go viral or even most of y'all to understand. But for the ones that do understand, like, why is it like this here? And this is also like not even a badminton related thing. It's a social thing, right? But it's also one of the biggest reasons I think is holding back the Philippines as a badminton country in general. If you look at like top players from any of our surrounding nations, right? Let's take Indonesia or Malaysia or Japan, right? You see how their top players play across all 3 disciplines. They all will have like a very specific style, right? Like Indonesians usually excel very well in the flat game, men's doubles especially, right? Korea is very focused on fundamentals, on defense, on drives. Even their single players like An Se-young has a very solid drive and mid-court game, right? Japan is very consistent. All of their players are very patient, right? A lot of them like to extend the rally, right? Why is that? Because they all have a like socially, or I guess in this case we can talk about just the badminton sport specifically. They all have a very Sorry, my girlfriend just interrupted me. But where was I? Yeah. So all of these nations, they have like a playbook, if you will, of what is generally accepted to be correct. And we can argue it's incorrect or it's correct, but that's not where the value is. The value is that it's all standardized, right? So everyone can improve upon that standard, right? The giants of last generation can help with this generation. Like you see this with like, you know, Hassan and Mohammed. They're both helping this current generation of Indonesian players, right? Lee Yong-dae is becoming a doubles coach for the Korean team, right? And because they're all using that same textbook, they can kind of like use their secrets to help propel the generation forward. And I don't really see that as the case here. Here we still see right training camps disallowing their students to play at other courts. We see so much misinformation, right? Some stringers say, right, this string can only be used up to this tension and this string can only be used up to that tension, which is totally false, right? We see beginners using, you know, 24, 25, 26 pound tension. We see people believing that, oh, in order to have power, you have to have, you know, a 3U head heavy super stiff racket, which is definitely not the case, right? We have disagreements about Like, is it a split step? Is it a split jump? How to serve, everything, right? So yeah, this is really truly a rant. I don't really know how well or how poorly this video will go, but it's something I've been thinking about on my mind. I honestly don't know how the Philippines could solve this as well, because it seems so deeply ingrained in society here. It's, I've been here for about 3 years, and it's not just in badminton. I see these kind of like situations. Kahit saan you ask someone for their opinion, there's always a disclaimer, like, for me, ha, blah 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 blah. But then they go ahead and proceed to say whatever they want to say as if it was fact. So I don't even know if I call this a badminton rant. Might be just a life rant. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this I guess case of misinformation and just like the lack of importance on objective truths here in the Philippines. Okay, bye bye.